Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we're continuing our High School Musical, High School Musical, the series discussion.
Also known as HSMTMTS.
Also known as the longest fucking title ever for anything. Good lord. Okay.
I saw someone that said they should make the show into a stage production so then they can make High School Musical, the series, the musical, the series.
No. It's enough words as it is. I'm surprised it got so many seasons because people could find it with that title. But, okay, so we're continuing our discussion. Today we'll be moving on to season 2. Disclaimer to everybody, this is just strictly a spoiler episode. So if you haven't seen it and want a spoiler-free review of the entire show, please go back to see our previous episode. Just listen to the beginning where we just give a non-spoilerly update about this. But from here on out, it's just spoilers. But before we jump into all the gay and queer goodness, we just have a quick, just little housekeeping stuff for you guys. If you were listening to this or on an audio platform or watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple, please download the episodes. It helps us get into the algorithm and reach a wide, happy queer audience and spread queer joy, which that's always a good thing. If you'd like longer episodes, exclusive content, please become a Patreon. For $5 a month, you get access to a bunch of stuff we don't post on the other platforms and early access to the stuff that we do so that you can get the spoilers even sooner. If you could leave us a review on any platform that you can, that would be amazing as well. If you don't know what to write, Kaitlynn will give you a random word at the end of this episode that you can spell and just leave that random word to confuse people, because that's also fun. If you would like merch, because we shout out merch ideas constantly on this podcast, visit our website, biggayenergypod.com, and check out our merch, because we have lots of merch ideas, and they exist. So check all that out. I think that's everything, Kaitlynn.
Yes. Every time you bring up my word, then I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a word!
We promise we're not lying.
No, we will have a word. All right. Are we ready for season 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I just figured we'd just start with the characters that we're introduced with. We're not going to go too much into detail with each one because sometimes there's too many. We need to stop adding people and use what we have.
Correct.
Anyway, so in season 2, we are introduced to Lily, the mean judgy girl, Howie, the kind trader, Zach, the asshole teacher with history with Miss Jenn, and Antoine, the annoying French student. So
yes. I mean, this is the season where, again, we're still trying to be Glee a little bit, but we're moving away from it. So instead of, like, our rival Glee group, instead of having Vocal Adrenaline, we have North High. So we have, like, this is the rivalry season. And so those are, like, mostly a cast of characters coming from the rival school. So it's like, they're the caricatures of the mean girls you'd expect, while the East High Wildcat group become human beings. Like, that's really what this season is. Like, yeah.
I mean, you gotta have rivalry in high school, right?
Of course. Yeah, so what musical are they focused on this season, Kaitlynn? Because last year it was High School Musical because we were trying to be High School Musical.
Well, I mean, it's really a mystery because the first episode, everyone is super convinced they're doing High School Musical too.
I mean, it makes sense because it's a Disney production based off of High School Musical.
And then the last minute, Miss Jenn decides, nah, we're not doing that. We're going to do Beauty and the Beast.
Because of course they are, because Disney, again, likes to flex that this is a Disney production, and so they have the rights to all the Disney shit. So that's how they keep doing Disney musicals.
But they also don't have to pay to use anything else. So that helps the production.
But it also is like, hey, are you nostalgic for Beauty and the Beast? That's also streaming on Disney+. This is just like meta marketing is what they're doing.
Well, that aside,
anyway.
let's talk about the casting first, because a lot goes down in this casting. So, Lily starts out at East High.
Yes.
And she joins the auditions, but first she fangirls over the group at lunch. So she seems like a nice girl who just wants to be involved. But that's where the nicest stops. And like she takes a selfie with the whole group. I feel like she just whatever. That's just, it goes quick. That's it. So the group does a group audition, which is very odd. Like I don't know of anyone who like sings a song all together to audition. I like dance, yes, but
I think this is a TV show choice where they're like, we need to move this shit along. That's what they were doing.
No, they had solo auditions too, though, with singing. So, like, it just, whatever.
It's dumb.
But they do a group audition, and Lily definitely shines because she's talented. But her personality cost her the lead. And, okay, so something that really pisses me off in this show, and I mentioned this a little bit in the past, is that Ricky keeps getting the lead, and his auditions are terrible. Like, I'm pretty sure he sings "Bet on It" in this one for his solo audition
because he thinks he's gonna be. He thinks they're doing High School Musical, so he's doing a Troy Bolton song.
He knows that they're not doing High School Musical, but that's the only song he knows because that's what he prepared. Because everyone was expecting it to.
Correct. Exactly. He prepared it, but then he over-prepared it to the point where he could barely sing it by the time he got to the audition. So yeah, his audition was trash. Also, there's this ongoing thing of him constantly being late to the audition. So he's like wildly unprofessional, first of all. But like, classic handsome guy gets the role.
So really backtrack. In the first season, he's late, and Carlos says, Troy wouldn't have been late. Which... literally everyone knows that was Troy's, like, big thing. Like, yes, he was late. They were always late to the audition. But, so Tim Federle, who created the show, admitted his mistake on social media later.
Also, side note, that's who wrote Never Late, Never Nathan, Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will be in my fun fact section as well.
I figured. Well, there it is now. There's your fun fact.
Yes, Tim Federle, if you happen to be listening to this, I would like to interview you about all the things you've done, because both things are, Better Nate Than Ever is, like, kind of queer. But we talked about it.
Yes. We did in our Banned Books episodes.
Yes.
That's why I was like, I know that name when I saw it. He also reads the audiobook, because I listened to the audiobook. He reads it.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so Ricky keeps getting... really, Ricky does have competition with EJ, but this time EJ does take himself out of the running for the lead. So, of course...
How convenient.
The stereotypical guy who gets the lead is getting the lead again. Spoiler for the casting that we go through later. So during the audition, something that I really like is they had Ashlyn stand out more, which finally... and she gets some solo lines, and Miss Jenn is just, like, nodding at her, and, like, it's just so sweet that, like, she's so proud of her, and I do love how Miss Jenn, like, just cares about her students so much.
Yes.
So Ashlyn, when she's singing, goes over to the whole group of girls that's standing around, and they're acting with her, like, it's theater. But then if you look at the end, Lily is not participating at all, which, it's an audition, and if you see everyone else acting, I feel like you should really be doing that. But she's so focused on herself because she has her solo parts coming up soon, so she's just focused on herself, which is telling of her personality. So that was...
well, like, Lily is, like, overconfident she's gonna get the role because it's Beauty and the Beast, and she looks like Belle. So she's like, I am thin, and I look like the cartoon character of Belle. She comes, like, dressed like Belle, like, in the same kind of style, like, clothing, colors. So she's visually, like, projecting to Miss Jenn, I literally, like, if you went to Disney and you saw the Disney Princess Belle, you would look like exactly like me. Like, if Disney would hire me.
Look at this whole group of girls, when they're lined up, you're subconsciously, you would think that's Belle.
Right, and Lily knows that and is playing into that hardcore, so that when she doesn't get it, she's like, what the fuck? I literally look like Belle. And it's like, we did the typecasting in the first season, so let's move on. Also, who are you and where were you in season 1 if you're this huge person who's so into theater? Like, where the fuck were you? Isn't this the same school year? Like,
yeah, it is. It is the
so
same
like
school
this.
year. So,
that's why like the way that people come in and out is like weird in this show.
I should really know this, but I don't know if she was there or if she's a new girl or what. I don't think they actually explain it. So like,
there's too many people transferring conveniently for the musical.
I'm like, you have to
it's so
live.
Stupid.
You have to have an address in the school district. Actually, yes. I was allowed to finish.
That's not how this works.
I lived actually like 40 minutes away from my high school by the end, but I think they were just letting me finish out the school because I could provide my own transportation. But anyway.
So it's, again, a forced plot. That's annoying.
Moving on from that. But part of me wonders if Lily feels insecure that everyone is so close. So like they're all very close and like know how to like act together. And she chooses the meanness to cover it up maybe and make herself feel better. She's really unbearable in these auditions.
I mean, possibly, but again, she's the caricature remnant from season 1, where it's like she's just very one-dimensional. It's like she's the new Gina, right? She's like new girl that got transplanted here, is cutthroat to be number 1, is overconfident because she has the part, went through all, she has a conversation with Gina too. She's like, yeah, I did all this training too, girl. We're on the same level. I can kick your ass and like get the lead. Because Gina's also like, it's my turn to get the lead. So like they're just playing into that hyper competitive shit with the girls again, and it's like Gina 2.0 is here, but a blonde girl. That's basically what it is.
And Gina tries to give her a compliment, and she's like, "Oh, I just meant I haven't done local theater."
Right, exactly. So this like, okay, here's the new caricature. Like that's what she is. And then they don't change her. They're just like, she's just going to be the villain now. We're just going to go full Glee and just keep you as the villain. While the Wildcat group, they break out of their one dimension and become 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional.
So like, that's what they're doing. Lily never gets better. Lily never gets any redeeming qualities.
No, it's like they set up the North High. All the North High people are just villain. Like they're just villains. Like they don't change. They are one-dimensional and they stay that way. Every single one of them
is kind of different though. Slightly.
I guess, kind of, but he goes away so fast it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, true.
Yeah, I guess he's the only one. I guess I was excluding him from that. I mean, like the cutthroat people. He's not really a cutthroat person. He's like we don't
even find out that he's part of it until like the end.
He's the sleeper plot, but he's set up as somebody else. He's a romantic McGovern anyway. Like, you know, so he gets more of a personality because he's in a love relationship with Courtney later, which humanizes him, I guess. But like, for the most part, the teacher, Lily, and the French guy, and the rest of the people in the musical, except Howie in North High, they're just the one-dimensional, they're the villains. You're just supposed to hate them. They don't change. That's it.
God, I hate that teacher. But, I mean...
You're supposed to. He's one-dimensional. He's supposed to be not redeeming.
But he's played by Derek Huff, and so my childhood was watching Dancing with the Stars with my grandmother, and so that was also made me happy just to see him in there.
There you go.
So one of the things I do like about the show is that they're very big on like the found family and the sisterhood. And so Ashlyn creates this whole number for Gina, Courtney, and her. And it's called apparently a 3-way harmony, or like the 3-part. So it's not a duet, it's a tercet, which I learned that word.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's your word to spell at the end.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait a minute. That could be spelled wrong.
Tercet, go for it.
It's tercet. But can I just say that they killed that number? It's like described as Cheer Girls meets Spice Girls meets not Destiny's Child. Something like that. But like all these like girl groups. And they're so good. But I love in the editing, you see them like there's mistakes in there, and like you just see them having tons of fun. And it's like because there's behind the scenes footage of when it's like a close-up of Gina, like you just hear them cheering her on in the background, and it feels like such an empowering song for like the 3 of them as well. And if you look, Gina Sophia gets her earring caught on her costume, I believe. So she's like, but they kept it in, and it's just meant to be such a fun number, and it's really cute and nice change to Lily. But let's be real, I don't really care about Lily, and I am so glad that Ashlyn got the role of Belle. And not only does she deserve it, but it brings us to the next topic that is very necessary to talk about.
Yes.
So, again, not perfect, but there is body positivity in this show. Like, there's diverse body types. There's multiple plus-size characters, and by plus-size, I just mean that aren't a tiny stick. Because, like, that is what Disney is in general.
Yes.
And,
it's
like,
very annoying.
And also, if there was any non-stick characters, they were always, like, the quirky best friend. And, like, yes, they still kind of do that, but they do come into their own in the show. It just has to get rid of the stick people first. Like, just a good example, I know this is a little slightly off, but That's So Raven... It took forever for Raven to even become the main character. Like, they had to admit that she was the best actress, and they had to recast the whole thing and make her the main person, but they could never see an African-American girl who's overweight be a main lead character on Disney.
That's insane, because Raven Simone is Raven. How the fuck is it a show that's not about her when her name is in the title?
It was not called That's So Raven at first.
Oh,
yeah, okay. It was a different title. Most shows go through title changes before we even get to them.
Oh, I see. I thought it aired as something else.
No.
What?
No.
I love her. I love Raven Simone.
Yeah, she's great.
She was on the Cosby Show, and she was fucking killing it as a child. Like,
yeah,
amazing. That's when I first saw her, and I was like, she's getting her own show.
It
Good.
amazes me when they cast like babies and like toddlers, and then they grow up to actually be good actors as well. Like, I don't know if it's just because like they grow up there, but like they're taking a chance. Like, especially if a show goes on forever, like that child might grow up to be terrible at actor. But whatever. Anyway,
and then they soap opera swap them out when they're young, so it doesn't matter. They just explain it. They're like, no, that's Rodney, I swear.
Unless it's Good Luck Charlie, then they use one baby only, and it's her through the whole time. But anyway, yeah, that's in Good Luck Charlie. They also did that with the plus size African American best friend in that show. So it's just small progress. Where Disney makes small progress at a time.
Yeah, but this plot line was great. And okay, the body positivity thing is not just limited to season 2. And it's not like visually, yes, like once it becomes less of the Olivia Rodrigo and the boys show, it becomes more about the theater trope and their like dynamics with each other and growing together, because the show is becoming its show, not its own show, not like a, rip off of something else, which is what it started as basically. So the body positivity becomes actual plot lines that they explore in a really good way. It starts with Ashlyn here in season 2, but later we also get it with Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good, it's more of a queer storyline at that point, because the stereotype with queer men is you have to essentially look like a model. And he's like, I don't, and I'm very aware of that. And so he kind of goes through his own, it starts in season 3, but he goes through his own journey with him dealing with his own body dysmorphia because of like society stuff. But with Ashlyn, it's more so about like the theater and the casting, and like, because again, in this play, it's Belle. And when you think of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, because Disney like picks an image and they stick with that. So if you go to a Disney theme park, like I had a roommate who's a character who worked at Disney in Florida and was a character, and they are so fucking particular about the body types of people who are going to be cast as characters to walk around the park. Like my roommate was Mickey Mouse because my roommate was a certain height, and like you have to be a certain height to be Mickey, so that all the Mickeys look the same, so that they're very standardized. But to be a face character, like my other roommate used to date a face character. I forget if she was Belle. She might have been, actually. I don't remember. But, like, to be a face character, it's even more insane. Like, your face has to be a very specific shape, specific dimensions. Your body type has to be very specific dimensions, so that all the bells, when you see the face character, because you can't hide behind the costume. Like, with Mickey, you just have to be a certain height, certain width, because they just put the suit on you. But if you're Belle, like, your face has to be certain dimensions, certain eye colors, all this stuff. So, like, there is no diversity among the Belles. Like, Belle is Belle, no matter where you go. So it's always a white girl who looks like this, who has these certain dimensions. And so coming into this play where they're casting a Disney like play, you expect the Belle to look a very certain way. And that's why we got Lily. We're like, yeah, that's who Disney would actually cast if they were casting Belle, because they have an image in your brain about who's Belle. They would cast Lily. So I like that the show went through casting the right person for the role based on the ability to play Belle, not just physicality of Belle, and then also further explored that actors struggle with that, and like how that, made her think, I wasn't going to be Belle. Obviously, I'm going to be the teapot because look at me. Like,
yeah,
that's who they would cast.
Really sad. Like, she's like, obviously I'm going to be Mrs. Potts. So, like, first of all, she's assuming that she's going to get a character, but like, she never even considers herself for the lead ever. And, like, right. I relate to that, because, like, you can't be the lead if you're plus size. And then also, in theater and dance in general, like, there is a stereotypical body type. And totally. In the show, even the dancers, they're not all one body type, which is...
For sure.
I can't tell you, oh my God, why am I emotional? How much that means, because going through dance and having everybody around you be skinny, it's so difficult, and it's so difficult to keep going and even be at that level where you can be in things and you're pursuing it professionally. It takes so much courage and self-confidence, I guess. Yeah, to be able to continue doing it, because you're probably told that you're too fat, that you're not the right body type on a daily basis, and that's in addition to being told no like multiple times a day when you're auditioning. So like, it's not even just like two of the main characters. Like, we see them in the background and the dancers, and it's more real when you have that. And I love that they're doing the same things, and like, it's not even like a special section for them. They're doing everything that the little twigs are doing, because we can. And that's why when I was growing up, I'm so obsessed with being flexible, because when I would do, and like my split is like this far off the ground, because it would impress people, because they don't think you can do that as when you're overweight. And it sucks that this is our world. And I just love that they're giving everybody a chance.
Yeah, I mean, and it's starting to get better in media. And granted, like, remember, like, we are watching a TV production of a fake high school casting a play. So for a TV production, they can cast literally whoever they want to be in this, like, that shows up at an audition. Like, they could have casted all twigs if they wanted to. No offense to twigs. If you're a twig, like, whatever. This is good for you. No shaming. It's just, this is a commentary
because it does go both ways. Like, correct. Carlos, like, he thinks, like, he's too small, and, like, and it's not just, like, plus-size people who go through these body issues. And we do see that in the show, which is so important as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about, like, diversity casting and, like, representation, period. Not just queer representation, but in all the elements. But, okay, the fact that it's a TV show, like, they can cast whatever they want. It's more realistic to cast it this way anyway, because it's supposed to be of a high school. And it's, like, not just skinny people are auditioning for, like, a high school play. There's like 20 people that it's not like you're getting thousands of people auditioning like you would for a TV show. There's a set number of people at the school, an even smaller proportion that want to do the musical. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to get people of different body types based on who shows up. Like, it's just, that's real life. It's not, you're not going to get everybody that looks like Olivia Rodrigo and the guy that plays Ricky. Like, that's not who's showing up in mass for a high school in Utah musical. So this is more, it makes it more real, because this is more likely what you're actually going to see in real life. And so it's important that it's on TV to encourage people who would have otherwise been discouraged. Like, personally, like, I would love to have gone out for like any kind of acting in high school, but I was always like, I am not who I see playing leads, because like you said, women, it's better now, but women had like, you were the love interest and that was it. And so to be the love interest, you had to look like Lily to be the love interest, because they're going to cast you based on body type. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting cast for any of these things. Also, these roles suck. But like, I had the body thing where I was like, I don't have the look for it. There's no way I would even get cast. Why even try? I'll just play sports where it doesn't matter what you look like. That worked out well. But like, it's seeing this on TV is important, because this is why representation matters, and it matters to see it on a TV show to inspire people to do it in real life, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I did not expect this season to like get to me. Like, when I was writing it, it wasn't getting to me, but like now that we're talking about it, like, so sorry if my voice sounds like shaky at all, because it's just bringing up a lot of, I guess, trauma in a way from doing theater. God damn it. Sorry.
Okay. It's real.
I have not cried in a year on this podcast, guys, and it took this. It's always when it brings up childhood trauma. It's just because Julia Lester played this so beautifully as well.
Yes. That
I felt everything that she feels. Okay.
It's okay. Take your time. It's okay. This was beautiful.
Yeah. I just hate that she never expected to get the lead, and it didn't stop when she got the lead. And
yeah.
So I brought this up before on like as a joke on one of our podcasts, but I was cast as the cow in Into the Woods. So I wanted one of like the lead, not like lead, but like supporting lead, I guess. And it was like the first time I let myself hope for it. So when I got the cow, it hurt so bad. And for months I was going around saying that, oh, damn it, that I got the cow because I looked like a cow. And I cried so much, and I couldn't let other people see how much it hurt me. And I don't know if they were just trying to play it off and tell me that it was because the director thought I was the only person who could be capable of playing that character because of like the comedic timing, or like just like the physicality of having to play, like, I mean, it's like a character actor. And I've like played Snoopy before for this director and like dancing and stuff. But it's just, it hurts. And going into audition, I knew that I would always be typecast. Like, after I stopped being in the ensemble all the time, because I started later, but I would be a parent, because you can't be a high school student. You can't be a love interest if you're overweight, because you look more like a parent. You look like more an adult if you're overweight. And so sorry. I get really upset with myself when I cry.
Don't be upset. This is all super fucked up, and I'm sorry you went through it. It's very real, though.
It's important to show how much it affects people, because like at that age,
yeah, no, for sure,
it's
traumatizing.
And trying to figure out who you are when you're being told that you're not good enough.
Yeah,
for like
by adults.
Yeah, for like the main characters and stuff. It sucks, and it holds you back from figuring out who you were. So I wasn't allowed to have the confidence in high school because I was being put down, and I thought I looked like a cow so much, which is why I was a cow in the show. And it actually ended up being one of my favorite roles because I made it my own. And I was like, I went in there saying that I'm just gonna play this up, and I ended up crying as the cow, but I did like a moo, and the director loved it so much he's like, put 2 in there. And like, so I got to do whatever I wanted. I made it my own. And I loved it. I got to be in one costume the whole time. It was sweat. It was like a sweatsuit, a white sweatsuit. The only thing is I had to be milked on stage, and that was very awkward. So it's just like, theater is weird in general. and it's such an awkward time. So like there is a lot of trauma for like theater kids. So like that's why it's a mental head game, which is why there's more drama in there. But bringing it back to the show.
Wait, bringing it back to the show, Kaitlynn, if it makes you feel better, Nene was also cast as a cow, which she did mention, and I was like, so was Kaitlynn, but I'm sure Kaitlynn was better because Nene's really not that good at this.
You know what? Julia Lester played the cow when she was younger, but you know what?
Aww.
At least she was a little kid when she had to play the cow. But yeah, so like I relate to Julia there because she played the cow, but then she ended up being Little Red Riding Hood in the revival and got nominated for a Tony for it. So go girl.
Yep.
I forgot that Nene said that. So during rehearsal, Miss Jenn talks about how Belle is the most beautiful girl in the land, and you see Ashlyn's face just fall. And this is why I started getting more emotional, because like it's just feeling this. She's like, she's supposed to be the most beautiful. She doesn't feel like she's the most beautiful, and that's what our society makes us feel. And so you see her just look so worried, and she's playing with her hands, and it's exactly what I do when I'm nervous, and I think a lot of people do that with their hands, but
a lot of the actors do that on this show. Like Ricky does it later. It's just like, this is anxiety.
And I'm wondering if it's not just like, do you do this at all if you're anxious?
No,
because I'm wondering if it's like a theater, because we have to theater kids like more emphatic, like with gestures and things because of acting. So like wondering if like playing with your hands is just like a thing.
Maybe.
But also,
I mean, they are also acting, so they're trying to show you that they're nervous, so they're doing nervous tics.
But also Ashlyn pulls on her sweater, and so it's just like all of the anxiety, like I don't know if it's stimming, because I don't think it's considered that, but just to like let the anxiety out, like I relate to. So it's just everything Ashlyn goes through is just brought way too much back. And so she lets, but not really let it. It gets to her. And she asks if she can take a quick 5. And she walks out of the room because it's hard. It's so hard to like have so much expectation on you when you don't feel like that's who you are. And until doing these notes, I didn't realize that it's what Miss Jenn said. I thought it was that Ricky wasn't like doing well. Like I didn't even notice that it was Miss Jenn's comment of Belle being the most beautiful that makes Ashlyn start freaking out. And so she walks out of the room, and then there's the confessional mockumentary type thing where she says, "This is so dumb. Look, I know who I am. I'm proud of who I am. But I've seen the movie 100 times. Bella has a certain look. It's iconic. And that look isn't really me. And sometimes that feels complicated." I just hate it.
This is why stereotypes are harmful to people, for sure. Apparently, Apple thought that was a good thing, and it gave me a thumbs up. That's the worst reaction I've ever seen.
You know what? You have to just go watch listen to it and watch it, because Theora updated her computer and it just
I updated to the Sonoma or whatever the new ISO is, and it automatically turned on reactions for my camera, and it's really weird. But anyway,
okay.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. I am going to try and keep myself composed, but obviously this hurts me a lot more, and this is why we need representation like this. So there's hopefully a little kid out there is like, I can be a lead. I can go out there and go for anything and not just the background character.
Totally.
Because I wonder if I had stuff like this, if I would have been strong enough to continue acting. Because at one point I was going to do musical theater, and I'm like, that's not safe enough. I don't look right. I'm not good enough.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But I get to do a little bit through this podcast of like being on camera and stuff, so.
Exactly. That was the appeal.
And but
I feel you on that.
But it's because I've been finding myself more and like being more confident with myself, and it took forever, and it's luckily the representation is getting better. So it's like I said, this kind of healed my inner child.
To quote the show, trust the process.
Yes. They make sure you know that is a tagline. It's literally an episode title in the 4th season. So later, we're still in Ashlyn's journey with this. Sorry, it's taking forever to get through. She is walking with Gina, who tells her that waltzing is hard because, obviously, if you saw that, like, what I saw in the beginning, it looks like she was upset that she couldn't get the dance with Ricky and that they weren't doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not why she's upset. And Ashlyn responds that, and she says, I guess I just don't feel like a natural belle yet. And, like, she never outright says it's because she doesn't have the right body type. But, because it's, like, awkward when you don't feel like you fit. Like, you don't want to talk about your weight because that's not what you're taught to do.
Well, also, like, look who she's talking to. Like, Gina.
Yeah.
Look at Gina. Like,
yes.
That's not the person you have the conversation with. Later, Ashlyn has the conversation, I think, with Big Red. But, like,
yeah.
You don't have this conversation with Gina, who's, like, classically beautiful.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't understand it.
She says, so after she says, I don't feel like a natural belle yet, she says, I mean, we've all seen the movie, but Gina interrupts her. And she just says, a cartoon. And you're everything. And that's all Ashlyn needs to hear. Like, not all she needs to hear, but, like, she really needed to hear that, especially from Gina. Like, Gina's becoming her sister because, like, they're roomies now.
Yes.
And, like, this is why, like, I hope that there's people, like, not even, like, everyone who has body issues, especially from seeing characters on TV, hear this, because it's a cartoon. It's a drawing. This isn't real people. Yeah, you have people who look like Lily, but Lily probably has something about herself that she doesn't like, because we're so obsessed with the way we look that no one can love who they are. I mean, I hear my mom talk about herself, and I'm like, she's so gorgeous, but she can't see that. Like, no one can see how beautiful they are, because as a society, we're told that we're not good enough, no matter how we look. And it's just so annoying.
Yeah, we all kind of hate ourselves on some level, I'm pretty sure.
But it doesn't help that Ashlyn and Lily are literally pitted against each other. And this isn't, like from a narrative point, like, this was important to show for the body positive, like, have her, like, feel better about herself, because she is just as good as Lily, if not better. I mean, we don't really see Lily as Belle, so, like, we can't compare there. Not that we should, because they're both probably amazing in their own ways. Because female empowerment, people empowerment. Okay? I'm getting really passionate over here.
Down with the patriarchy.
I said that one time, and my dad said, look who's bringing out the big words. I'm like, patriarchy's a big word?
It's not a big word.
Oh.
If you're commenting that,
as a young
dad
kid, we need to learn that word, because that is what
the root of all the problems.
Yeah.
That's where this stems from. That's where pitting women against each other stems from.
So that's why, like, there is a bit of that in this, and there's another part that I will backtrack a little bit, because I said something. I'm like, we really shouldn't be, but they portray Lily as such a mean girl that it's hard to, like, it's hard to actually like her. But
you're not supposed to like her, though. She's set up to be the villain.
But
like, you're not supposed to like her.
It's really hard, because we need to, like, not put women down. We need more.
I agree. But I like that they are making this plot line, and they have to have a foil to somebody you compare Ashlyn to in order to visually do this. So yeah. That's the purpose of it.
Of course, she starts freaking out when it's revealed that Lily won't just be co-directing the show, because it was bad enough that the North High changed from Little Mermaid to Beauty and the Beast, which I don't think they wouldn't have gotten the rights, because there's already another show in the area, so the rights would not have worked out, because you have to apply for rights. You can't just do any show.
Yeah, it's Again, because, again, this is a Glee ripoff, because you can't have East High versus North High in any kind of head-to-head. It's not like they're doing regionals, like, you know, against Vocal Adrenaline, where we're going to go head-to-head with each other. They have to compare, they have to do the same play.
But, like, the thing is, they were already competing when they were doing Little Mermaid, so it was just them, like...
This is just for drama purposes.
Yeah, they didn't have to do life.
No.
First of all, they couldn't. Also, we'll get more into things that they can't do, but they do anyway later, because I have a lot of thoughts about that. I take my law very seriously, apparently.
Yes.
So Lily is actually Belle in North High's production. So now, poor Ashlyn is like, I already don't feel like Belle right now. Right. And the girl who I know looks like a cartoon, and like she says it multiple times in this season, that like Lily, the girl who looks like a literal Disney character cartoon, yeah, I vaguely remember her. It's like, yes, this girl has been in her head since she got the role, before she got the role.
Yes.
And I just have to say, this is why I'm like, I want to empower Lily, but at the same time, we really can't. So we're just go with me on this. I have to argue that Ashlyn captures Belle more, because there is a joyfulness in Ashlyn's eyes when she does it. And like, she's so happy to be Belle. And like, when she's singing and stuff, like she does embody Belle. In that audition, you saw Belle. And then my whole line is that there's a joyfulness in her eyes that the evilness of Lily could never.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
like,
yeah.
In Lily's audition, like, it looks like she's gonna kill people. In my opinion.
Right. She's not right for the role.
But I also mentioned I was biased earlier, so just...
So what it is demonstrating is that, like, the looks aren't everything when it comes to acting. It's a component, perhaps, that is taken into consideration, but if you're supposed to be playing a joyful character and you're not acting that way in your audition, that's points against you, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to not compare yourself to someone you are literally competing against.
Correct. Like, you're competing. That's part of this. That's why, like, this can easily turn into toxic culture, because it is hyper competitive. There's one spot, only one person can get it.
And when you add these outside competitions in it, it makes it... I mean, at least you're not competing with your fellow classmates, and it's like a different school. So, like, you don't have as much connection with them. So I feel like that's slightly better, but there's a lot of competition. But
yeah,
I guess it's kind of the same with sports, though, because you are competing against the other schools.
I mean, it's not that, too. Like, you're not competing in a vacuum. So if you... Yes, there's the musical, but then there's also, like, if you want to make a career out of this or potentially go to an art school, you have to also build a resume. So it's like, it's more than just the pressure of this one thing, right? So yeah, it's like the individual competition of like Ashlyn versus Lily to get the role. But if like Lily wants to go on to Broadway, she has to build the resume. So just being in the musical isn't enough for her to build the resume. She has to be the lead. So like, it's more than just the one competition. The whole thing is competitive to make this a career, like all of it. And so every little thing is stressful. So for somebody like Lily, like she has to be crazy driven, and like maybe you have to be cutthroat, because if I don't, like, I have to succeed to get where I need to go. If you're just doing this for fun, that's great. But like, I'm trying to make a career out of this. Like, it snowballs into toxicity is what I'm saying. Because the whole culture of it is a one big giant competition to like succeed, basically.
Theater is rough, and there's no money in it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so hard to make a living in it, but like, it's so competitive. I mean, I'm not in the sports world. I tried out for field hockey once, and I couldn't run, so I felt bad about myself and never went back. So like, it's in everything,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but in that episode we see Ashlyn and Courtney both gain confidence, and like, I like that we see confidence build in these characters, and like the importance of confidence is prominently displayed in the show.
Yes,
which is so important for especially the age group that it's geared towards. So, like, and just as a quick background, in the show, in this episode, it's Courtney's first show with, like, an actual part. Like, yeah, she went on for Taylor for, like, 3 scenes in the first High School Musical. And she's so worried.
She was mostly wardrobe, so...
Yeah. Like, because that's her main thing, which, yeah. She's a lot more than that, but we'll get into that. but she's so nervous about performing, and like she blew out the levels, like the mics in when she sang in the first season, which not her fault. It's the mic, it's the levels that they were doing. It's not her, like they need to adjust for her. It's never her fault. So just saying.
You're perfect just the way you are, Courtney. But her anxiety, like that's a character trait they end up exploring throughout the rest of the show with her.
Also extremely important, and
which is really good. Glad. Exactly. So
and that's why I said later in the last episode we did that it's not just about singing and dancing with those type of things. Like there's some really important things they covered that I'm glad that I got to see.
Yeah, and they cover it well, like the body positivity topic. I think they cover really well. Courtney's anxiety, stage performance, whatever you want to call it, also evolves into something really, really good. So yeah, I agree.
And I just want to give some more time to Carlos's journey with this, because it's more spread out than Ashlyn's, which is like predominantly the whole season. But Carlos, you see multiple comments throughout every season. So in season 3, it probably starts earlier, but like as I was going along, I noticed it more. Carlos makes a comment that there isn't a dressing room for Olaf, like there, so he has to spend the whole day in the costume. And this is where you see Miss Jenn like be like very cognizant of her students and like understand them. Like she is a good teacher, because she sees right through that comment. And later she asks him if he needs a quick change booth for Olaf. And Carlos's response is, I think I just need Ryan Gosling's torso. So like he just doesn't like the way he looks. And like we talked about this already. No one does. I mean, if you do, then good for you.
Yeah.
And then Miss Jenn is always so supportive, and she responds with, someday you may learn to love your own. Because she never wants to be like, oh, you can like work out more like that. She's like, no, you are perfect the way you are. And later in that season, there is we're just putting this in now because it wouldn't make sense to talk about this in 2 different seasons.
That's fine.
So later there's a camp tradition where the guys take off their shirts for some reason and dump a cooler of ice water on themselves. It actually might just be cold water, but whatever. This makes Carlos extremely uncomfortable because, yeah. Also, why? It sounds like
it's a man thing. They're like, look how tough we are. But basically, he's like, I don't want to take my shirt off because I don't feel comfortable with that. And like, he's having this conversation with EJ when we get to the camp because EJ's like, it's tradition. And then eventually, he's like, Carlos like explains why, and then he's like, that's fine if it makes you uncomfortable, don't do it. So it ends well, but yeah.
But, like, I think it's important to note that he says, I'm not the type of guy to show off my body to others. And then he says, or myself.
Yeah.
Because, like, he doesn't even like to look at himself. And that's the struggle for him. And later he decides that he wants to do it. Like, he gets a little more confidence. And during it, Ricky helps him out. And he says, you got this. No one is judging you, bro. And that is what he needs to actually go through it. And when Seb cheats on him, we will talk about that later.
Yeah, I mentioned this part earlier too.
Yeah.
This is like where the harmful queer stereotype comes in.
He backtracks like all the progress, like, because like this guy, he's thinking that he's getting rejected because he doesn't, and he says he tells Miss Jenn that there's expectations that a gay man should have a 6-pack and have perfect white teeth and look like a model. And unfortunately,
this is why stereotypes are harmful. Exactly.
And
yeah, so I like that they address the harmful gay man stereotype and using this body dysmorphia. Because, like, you say that he backtracks, but, like...
Not really, but like it's always going... You're
right. Something like body dysmorphia is not something, like, you can just cure. Like, it's...
Yeah, and I mentioned that with Courtney's anxiety. It wasn't the right words to use because, like, just because you're able to do something one time does not mean, like, all your issues are fine. Like,
yeah,
it's
I think
a roller coaster.
In Courtney's plotline specifically, I think they do actually address that. And they're like, anxiety doesn't just go away. Like, you learn to live with it. Like, some character says to her. So it's the same with this. Like, body dysmorphia is not something that just kind of goes away. And it's really hard because although you're dealing with your way, like Carlos deals with it and handles it and learns to handle it, but you still live in the world that has that stereotype placed on you. So it's like you have to learn resilience basically for dealing with it, because like the world isn't changing, like even though you are. So yeah, basically. But that good plot line. I'm glad they included those things in here.
Yeah, but then also we see Miss Jenn again reassure him that he doesn't need to look a certain way, and that he is who he is, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, I think we've had a lot of deep conversation. Can you tell that one hit a nerve a little bit?
I mean, honestly, it's the best plot line in the show, in my opinion.
Yes, that and the mental health thing. Like, those are like the two big things that I'm so glad that are in there. I do wish like mental health was a little more than just like the one character, but I will take what we can get at this point.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Moving on to Gina. So we mentioned that she moves around a lot, and I wanted to talk about this because I also related to this growing up. So she always reinvented herself wherever she went. So she doesn't actually know who she is because she always kept trying to be someone else whenever she moved. And so she doesn't have the friends, like they never stuck because she was always going. Like she's not even there a full year. Because she mentioned like one year that she's like all the places I lived in 7th grade. So she was in multiple schools.
Yeah.
So now that she is staying, thanks to Ashlyn inviting her to live with her, now no matter how that happens, Theora, Gina now needs to figure out where she fits, and because she's never really had to worry about that before, and so she's just trying to make her own and be her own person. So Carlos is one of the first people who like truly understand Gina, because like when he asks her to be his co-choreographer, she gets so excited because she thinks that he's asking her to be the sole choreographer. She's like, okay, yes, this is what I can do. This is my thing. But then when he tells her like co-choreographer, her face immediately falls, and she gives a lame excuse like, oh, I probably won't have enough time. And he just responds, cool. What's the real reason? And I just love that he could see her enough to know that like it's not okay to just like brush over. Like you need to get into like what's going on and make her open up, because she's the type of person who needs to be like not forced, but like
you have to get the feelings out of her. You have to draw them out.
Yeah, draw out like how she's actually feeling, so she doesn't like internalize everything. So yeah, that's that. And then one of the episodes that I want to talk about is when Seb gives Carlos the gay quinceañero of his dreams. And
the quince is one of the cutest episodes. I love this episode.
Yeah, it's so sweet. Like, oh, poor Seb. Okay, I don't have this written down, but poor Seb being terrible at lying, which also doesn't make sense later. But he's like, I just figured I've never learned how to lie, so I figured if I don't talk, I can't tell him the truth. So he just kind of like nods the whole time, and it's just so cute and adorable.
Oh no, like literally, my note on this is Seb is the best boy. He is a ray of sunshine in human form. I love all the scenes of him lying, trying to lie but failing super hard. My favorite scene is with him and it's not this episode, but it's the Yes and episode, where all hell is breaking loose after North High drops that Beauty and the Beast video, and the drama teacher is like giving them a pep talk, and like North High is all bells and whistles, which is basically bullshit. All we need is, and there's like a dramatic pause, the camera pans and Sub says, friendship? Like, I love him.
He's great lines.
They do
like
him dirty. They do him dirty with the cheating thing because it's so out of character and so stupid, and it was just for drama, but like he is the best boy, and I will stand by that. Forever.
He's so sweet. He is the little puppy sweet dog in this one.
Yeah, this episode is really cute.
But the thing, when I was watching this, because you have to watch more closely when you do the podcast, and because we were like analyzing characters' rooms before, I noticed Carlos's locker, and it is the gayest thing ever. I never noticed it before. So there is rainbow chevron wallpaper in there, Pride Salt Lake stickers, a pride flag, because of course, and then I believe there's like a small Ruth Bader Ginsburg doll,
Oh, an RBG in there? Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
A mirror that says love you on it, because it's just like he doesn't love his outward self, but the inside, he is confident with who he is. He is not ashamed to be gay. Good for you, Carlos. And I love that. And that's important for people to see as well. And then I also think there's like a jewel chandelier in there.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Amazing. So I love his locker.
Carlos.
So at the Quince, Seb talks about how Carlos is his hero. And there's a video that Gina plays of Carlos from 7th grade, and he's just unapologetically himself. He's like, these are the things I want for my birthday. And he does this dance that he came up with, and like the start of the choreographer in him. And Gina like does the dance for him as a gift. But Seb talks about how when he was 13, that he watched the video at least 100 times, and there's like 1,000 views on the video. So like 10% of that was just him hiding in his room, and in his words, in every sense of that word, watching Carlos being unapologetically himself. And for Seb, who we find out later is still not out to his dad, that's everything to him. And it was so cute and makes my heart melt. And it shows that you really do need to just be yourself, because even if there are some people who make fun of you, there will always be people out there who will see it, and they will get more courage to be themselves. Like, I hope when I dance and do things, like there's some younger kid being like, oh, okay, I can do that. Just because I'm overweight doesn't mean I can't do it. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Representation matters, and like that's what I hope people get from this podcast as well. So
yeah.
Put things forward.
This episode has Sebloses, which is their ship name, because I don't think we mentioned that before, their first kiss. And it would have been the first ever Disney original live action series with a same-sex kiss, but that title was given to Big Shots, which aired 1 week before this episode.
Oh, cool.
And I also love that show, but they canceled it and took it off of Disney Plus, and you can no longer watch it.
Classic.
Yes. Side note, okay, so this is a self-promotion plug. Okay. So side note, it was mentioned that Carlos was the captain of the color guard in the first season. So I talked the guard that I'm in, that I was forced to be in by my mother, into putting the song Gina sings in this episode, A Dancer's Heart, into our show. So if you happen to like guard shows, know what TIA is, and are near South Jersey, you can find me at the TIA Chapter 1 shows and championships. Come say hi.
Yeah.
And if anyone actually does, I'm going to be really impressed.
I don't know if this is going to like air in time.
We perform until May, June.
Okay, then you're good.
Yeah.
There's time.
Yeah, it starts in February. We're just in rehearsals right now. Okay. All right, so sorry for like all the like the self stories, but like this is why I love the show so much. So quick thing I want to point out that is relatable to me. I mentioned earlier that my school competed in a theater competition. We also had a rival, kind of. I went to West, and East had, and probably still does, an amazing theater program. Their budget had to have been like at least double ours. There is also a South, but at least at the time, the joke was that no one cares about South. Poor South. They were just too new to have a rival. Anyway, I'm really glad East didn't compete directly with us because, hold on, because they did have a bigger budget and a nicer theater, and like they probably definitely would have won over us. Seeing their show is like when the Wildcats saw North, like their set, like it's so beautiful. We're like, we get like these like folding tables. Anyway, we got one good set one time and we were amazed. That's so sad. Anyway, it is a good thing we were never directly pitted against each other formally. Like in it was called the Cappies, was our
right
competition, because I swear it would have been like our football team's rivalry, which is bad. I mean like the end of bottom's bad. Like
that's bad. Police
involved. Like arrest.
That's bad.
Yeah, There's a reason my high school was in the news like 4 times in high school. In like senior year, 1 year, we were always had news trucks outside. I'm like, please go away. I just want to go to school. Okay, 2 more quick things. When they sing Second Chance in the last episode, they are wearing the same clothes. So it's EJ, Nene, Gina, and Ricky as their original audition clothes. And I also love that song. And Natalie has a great line in the penultimate episode where she says, members of the company, this is your 10-minute call to act 2. Please, everyone remain in the same role you started in. And I just love that one because of the last one was a shit show.
Yes.
All right. So now a few dislikes, or like one big one that like really bugs me.
I can see that.
And they finally address it in season 2 when Lily tells them that they will be disqualified from the competition if they perform an original song in Beauty and the Beast. And that's because you're not allowed to add shit to these shows. And they keep adding songs and characters, and you're not allowed to do that. And in season 3, Ashlyn says that they weren't allowed to add characters to that show. She checked. Because you're not allowed to. Anyway, so MTI is their licensing agent, which we learn. I didn't even realize that they said it in season 3 until I went back again and watched it. MTI is Musical Theater International, and I unfortunately have way too much experience with them. But when you are granted a performance license by MTI, by law, this is what it says on their website, the show license must be performed as is. You have no right to make any changes at all unless you have obtained prior written permission. Yeah, right, Miss Jenn, you definitely didn't do that. From MTI to do so. Otherwise, any changes violate the author's rights under federal and international copyright law.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the only thing that's wrong with this. So,
but like, also, like, you're doing a Disney production. There's no way in fucking hell Disney is gonna let you fuck with a Disney production of all the copyrights.
We were always told that we weren't allowed to change things, and I'm still bitter about. Okay, so I was the village idiot because, of course, you know, my type. In Young Frankenstein, which was also a very fun role. It's.
I mean, it's a comedy.
I had
though.
fun with my roles. It just sucks that like I could never be the roles I actually wanted.
Yeah, I get that.
But the line, so the person others speaking was supposed to say, we have to give this town something that it needs or that it wants, something that it's always needed. And my line was supposed to be a gay bar, and the director made me say Starbucks instead. And I was pissed off. I didn't even know I was gay at that time. Okay, but I wanted to say that line so bad because it was so much better than a Starbucks.
It is way better.
And
yeah.
I asked our artistic director like why she wouldn't let me say it, because I didn't think it was the director's idea because he is gay himself. And she's like, "Oh, it wasn't my idea." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And she's like, "He probably just didn't want to make it seem like because of like the stereotype that gay men recruit." Okay. So like.
Sure.
And I'm like, can I just say it anyway? She wouldn't let me because she's like, the director gets the final say and all that. I'm like, fine. Should have just said it. Anyway, just a little bitter.
Just a little.
Yeah, a tiny bit. All right. Also, in the spring break episode, Gina takes out her script and it has highlighted writing all over it. This also isn't allowed because you are only renting the scripts for like the full-length productions. And you have to return them after you're done. If it's a junior show, then you get to keep the script, but full length gets sent back. So you have to use pencil and erase it before returning. And I currently have way too many junior scripts that I don't know what to do with, and it seems wrong to throw them out. So they're just sitting on a shelf. Okay. So that's the second illegal thing. Third illegal thing, the poster in Miss Jenn's office, and this has bugged me since the very first time. I was like, there's no way that that's allowed. So the poster in Miss Jenn's office from High School Musical, it says, Miss Jenn presents, in huge letters, East High's High School Musical, directed by Miss Jenn, choreographed by Carlos. So really, there's set things that has to be on the poster. And there's a specific percentages of like the title that it has to be like so big. So it really should say the East High production of Disney's High School Musical, and then they have to add book by so and so, songs by all those names, music is adapted, arranged, and produced by their name, based on a Disney Channel original movie written by. You have to put so many words on this freaking poster, and then you have to put MTI's thing of like Disney High School Musical presented by to the arrangement with MTI and all that stuff. So Miss Jenn, I know you love yourself, but like you can't. You just can't.
I feel like she made that up just to put in her office, and it's not actually advertised anywhere. It's like fan art.
I wouldn't. But see the way that they're going, I think that's how they presented the show.
It's also true, and it's also like you can have this in the show because it is a actual Disney television show. So
yes, like that's it.
They
but
own
the
all
thing
the
is,
rights
I'm
to all of
surprised they
this.
are okay with that because then it's just showing people that stuff, and like so that's what they're seeing.
It's meant to be a joke though, because it shows you like Miss Jenn's ego because her name is so big.
Yeah.
Because if you know all this about what the poster's supposed to look like, you know that it's wrong, and this is Miss Jenn's ego over the whole thing. And her ego is like her main trait from like season 1 to season 2, and it starts getting less and less as she becomes more of a teacher and less of an egomaniac. But like, and that's what it's really down.
Also, normal people don't know this much about MTI.
Correct. There's that too.
I hope you learned something.
Yes.
All right, and I think, do you have anything else about season 2 that you want to talk about?
Yes, I love that there's less Olivia Rodrigo because Nene is annoying as fuck.
Okay, yes, I didn't even talk about.
Okay, listen, they wrote this character. No, I don't care about Olivia Rodrigo. Listen, I'm millennial. Olivia Rodrigo to me ripped off a Paramore song, and that makes me upset. Granted, Haley was involved in that, but it makes me upset.
We don't know Olivia personally. We are not we're not attacking anyone.
No.
I don't want
just
you to think that.
No, not attacking her. It's easier to use the actor's name because I hate the name Nene. I think it's so stupid.
You can say Nina. That's her actual name.
I will not say either of them. So they wrote her character essentially to be too good and too perfect, and to me it reads as fake. And the same thing goes for like Ricky for like most of the show. So to me, she just came off as really annoying because they tried to make her a Disney princess right out the gate, and it's annoying. It's because it feels fake. So I'm glad there's less of Nene because then the other characters get to shine and grow into their own, and like it just feels better. Personally.
I'm glad she's doing music and like she's living her own life right now because it helped us out in the show. But
yes.
Also, I love that when she's at the school, the only part like I pay attention to was like the coloring difference to show like how bad that school, like how like grim and like dull that school was. Like the coloring was so different, and like that's cool.
Yeah, because it's just supposed to be her. I really didn't pay attention to any of her plot lines, but it's
okay. Like, I mean,
it's her feelings in the school, not necessarily what the school is like. So it's just again, it's. The school you're seeing in Denver is a reflection of like through her lens, and she thinks it's grim. But I think it's great because you were really annoying, and I'm glad you're not here because it made the episodes better about the actual high school.
And I'm glad they didn't take a part away from anyone. I mean, yeah, they added something for her, but like she wasn't the lead. It still sucks because I want to know. I kind of wish that she was auditioning with them, and Ashlyn still gets the Belle role because I feel like that. I mean, yeah, she got it over Lily, but like Nene was expected to be Belle, and it's just because she's not at the school is why she's not. Like I feel like that's probably what's going through Ashlyn's head as well.
Sure, absolutely. Like that's why like Gina's like, ooh, I can be the lead now. Like literally, that's on everybody's mind.
And unfortunately, that is what happens in school. So like, once you're the lead.
Well, because it's like that, and it's like the chemistry with the guy, and like they have chemistry on screen. So like. You know, because obviously Troy is always the lead, or not Troy. Knockoff Troy is always the lead. So
you always say Troy, and I'm just like going with it. So guys, if
those characters,
Troy, no, it's Ricky.
It's Knockoff Troy because like their names are not worth,
but it's most likely Troy. I mean,
their names are not worth remembering for me. But I will talk about the other thing. Bringing it back, my grievances again with like Knockoff Troy and Olivia Rodrigo's character. So when she does come back, then because she's gone for like a month, and that's forever. So Ricky is basically like, oh my god, I want her to come back, and it's this whole thing. So she finally comes back because she decides like, I hate the school, I want to be back at my other school or whatever. So she comes back, and then they get together by the end of season 1, so now there's drama because they're apart. Then when they get back, I'm like, obviously this show is based on relationship drama, so they're going to break them apart because we have to. But the reason they do it is so forced and contrived, and it's so annoying. It's basically like Ricky's parents go through the divorce, and then he puts all of his insecurities about the divorce onto Nene, and then that's what ends up breaking them up, really. So he, like, puts all these, like, unrealistic expectations on her. He gets her into the play because she shows up, but she's not really there. So it's like, oh, we're not really spending time together. And it's like, you have weekends. Like, you can do this outside of the play. Why are we forcing this? But then he's like, okay, I have to get her into the play. So then he's the one that comes up with, like, we can write a song together, and then she can put an original song in the play, which, like you said, is illegal. But this is all his manipulation. So then they're like, great, let's do that. And then, like, they try to write the song together, but not really. Nene ends up doing it herself. And then he's like, oh, man, we were supposed to write that together. Now we're still not hanging out. What the fuck? So, like, I'm like, dude, all of this shit is temporary. You can hang out on the weekends. Like, why? Like, why? It's so fucking annoying. Like, that's what breaks them up, is, like, they're doing stuff together, but they're not spending enough time together. Because that's the only time we can hang out, and that's what breaks them up. It's like... I
don't really pay attention as much when Ricky's on the screen. So I just saw it more as, like, Nene was just growing too far apart from him. Like, she was becoming her own person with music. Like, she was finding herself that she liked music more. Like, even when she was at YAC, the Actors Conservatory, she wanted to start a songwriting club. So, like, she's always more geared towards music. And so...
Right.
She was finding herself.
That. But, like, the tension between them from Ricky is we're not hanging out together enough and doing things together enough. But it's the lesbian time in the show where it's like, this is all the time we have and this is forever. And it's like, how long's rehearsal? Like an hour, 2 hours? Like, you can do stuff outside of that. That's not the end of the world. Like... And, like, and the fact that they grew apart because of songwriting is also stupid because he is also a songwriter. Like, they still have things in common. It's just framed in such a way, to me, it feels fake. Like, they're just trying to force them apart for drama reasons so that we can bring Gina into the mix as a love triangle, so that, like, all that kind of stuff. It's like they're trying to create drama, and it just reads as fake to me.
That's fair.
For two people who, like, grew up together and are on the same page... it's weird the way it happens out of nowhere, and it's like, yeah, we're different people now. It's been a week. It's just so stupid to me. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is time in this television show? I think it's ridiculous. Okay, other thing that I liked about the show, about season 2, I liked the spring break episode.
Yeah.
I liked it because to me it was my favorite episode so far because it was less focused on the musical stuff and all the drama with the musical, and it was just the characters. I liked that because it let the characters breathe and it let the show breathe and become its own thing versus, like, we're still in, you know, Glee, we've got a rival group shit going on. It just let it be, and I thought it was really good. I thought the music was really good in this episode.
I like that. I like the song that Ashlyn and Nene write together.
Yeah, I thought there's two original songs in this episode. I thought both were really, really great. And then what was also interesting, what was also funny, is, like, North High placed this, like, posted, like, a slander video and, like, shaming them for taking a break during spring break. Again, lesbians. It's a week. It's not the end of the fucking world. And so the East High's response is to put a song and dance together in an hour virtually, which was nuts. But the choreography for it is really cool because they're not all physically together. So the way they had to, like, edit it was honestly creative for a TV adaptation of something. And I thought it was really clever the way they crafted that, put it together, and then ended up editing it. I thought that translated really well for TV. So that was awesome. Whoever came up with that idea, like, kudos to you. That was awesome.
You can see they're rehearsing of that song on YouTube. But also, I'm more impressed that they not only wrote a song in one day, learned it, did the choreography in one day, but Big Red also edited that shit so quick with all those transitions and stuff. I don't buy it, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. They say they did it in an hour, which is also insane, which doesn't make any sense. It takes me an hour to edit this podcast. Like, how the fuck were they doing that? So...
Oh my gosh, no. So, like, it's this thing of like, oh, we know the song and dance without even rehearsing it. But, you know, we'll give it to them because it was fun to watch.
All right, there's one more thing I have to talk about. I think it's in that episode. I can't remember. Ricky plays this. He's at home and he's all sulky. Or not at home. He's with his mom.
Yes, he's at his mom's.
I think it's this episode. I can't remember.
It is.
In my notes. My notes don't tell me that. So that's why. But thank you. Okay, so he's playing the song on the piano in his room, I guess, by himself.
Yeah.
I was going to take a screenshot of this, but I didn't have time. Basically, I want to talk about the setup because I think it's so dramatic and funny. He's by himself singing the song at a piano, and there's like electric candles everywhere. Like, his mom did not set this up. He must have set this up as this dramatic as fuck setting to sing this really sad song. I think it's about how him and Nene are growing apart, but I can't remember because I don't really care. But like the fact that he set up the ambiance to be dramatic as fuck so he could sing his own song by himself, iconic behavior. I love when characters do that shit. Like, they did it in Motherland, where, like, oh my god, one of the characters was, like, obsessed with, like, put candles everywhere just to have a dramatic moment, and, like, Lexa in the 100 just has candles everywhere.
Yeah, like, that's it. Just, you say
just
candles,
to be dramatic
like,
as fuck, and you're like, there is no need for any of this, but you obviously needed this, and you were the one that set this up. I find that shit like that really hilarious.
If you say like, the Ricky scene is funny. I think of Lexa from the 100, because that was a running joke in that show, like, the candle budget.
But I just love when characters set their own mood. Like, nobody else was there. He did that, and I find that really funny, so he could sing the song dramatically by himself.
He's like, you know what? Candles are relaxing. I need that.
I love it.
In this episode, great. We meet Jack, who is played by Asher Angel, and he spends the day in the airport with Gina. It was just a quick note. They were the two of them were co-stars in Andy Mack together. Oh, so cool. Yeah, they used to work together, which is why he asks, "Do I know you? Like, you look familiar." Because yes, you guys worked together for 3 or 4 seasons before.
Is that another Disney show?
Yes, that is Andy Mack. We talked about a bit in the coming out episode, actually, because the guy who we see, Jack, he's the guy that the kid who comes out has a crush on.
Got it.
And they come out to... So Gina, who's played by Sophia, plays Buffy in that show. It's also a great show. You can't see the whole thing because there was an issue with an actor in there, but you can watch it illegally, kind of. And then also select episodes on Disney. And I love that show, too, because it's definitely different for Disney. I mean, the sister is actually her mom, and she had a teen pregnancy. So, like, it's just out of nowhere for Disney, and that's why I love that show. And it's also good Asian American, or I don't want to get it wrong. So, but, like, representation, like, diverse cast and, like, main characters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything else for season 2, Kaitlynn?
I don't know. I mean, okay, so if anyone's listening and, like, loves a show, like how I'm talking about it and want to talk about it with me, go to our Discord. Join our Discord. No matter what, just join the Discord, because I want to stream with people, and it's just, there's just so much in there, and the bottom line is I love Ashlyn, okay? That's what I get out of season 2.
Oh, yeah, we gotta plug the Discord in the promo thing, too. Yeah, so link to the Discord if you're on our socials. I think if you're watching on YouTube, even if you're listening, there's a link to the Discord directly. If you're listening or watching, go to our socials, our link tree link is everywhere. You can click it. It's the very first thing is the
We
Discord.
have channels for everything.
Everything. All the queer screaming. Pets.
And like we have such a good community, and we're like very active with you guys. Like, we'll talk to you. So if you want to talk to us, that's a great place to do it.
Yeah, and like if you talk with us, like we could give you a shout out on the podcast when we talk about that episode, which is also fun.
Yes, we will always give you credit if we bring up your point. And if you join our Patreon, you get exclusive channels too. So
yeah, true, for exclusive screaming.
Yes. So like if like the other chats are like too busy, and like you get more intimate contact with us on those private channels.
Exactly. So yeah, come scream with us. So if that's the end of season 2, we will continue talking about season 3 and 4. Like the show honestly keeps getting better from here.
Like we talked so much more about the things we loved in this episode.
Because it wasn't trying to be Glee, and it did its own plot lines that were really good. So yeah, so we will keep talking about this. We'll go on to season 3 next, and then season 4. But before we sign off, we will go to the Lesbian Jesus hydration scale. So this is a scale from 1 to 10. We hydrate because, like water, queer media is essential for life. So, Kaitlynn, how much would you hydrate for Lesbian Jesus for season 2 of High School Musical, the musical, the series?
It's really hard because since Ashley gets the lead, like she's the main in my eyes. So like, I don't think I can give it any higher. I think maybe 6.5.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's good. I would give it I'm gonna give it a 5 because I think this less Nene. It's much better. There was very important storylines that were done here. The original music was really good. I think it gets better as it becomes its own thing, and like there's no new queer rep really. Like it's the same queer characters, but like they had more prominent like storylines where they were their own people. So I enjoyed that. Yeah. And the show starts to get its own voice, and so do the characters. So like much better than season 1. And
you saw everyone now knows how much it hit me.
Yeah, it's really good. So keep watching with us. Go on to season 3, season 4. Do you have anything else to say before we sign off?
Yes. And just a reminder that your bonus secret word, whatever it's called, that you want to put in the comments without looking up how to spell, or a review anywhere that you are able to, is the word tercet.
Tercet.
Thank you, Ashlyn, for teaching us that word.
Yes. And hopefully we'll learn more vocabulary in the next season. So until next time. And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing, super gay content.
If you'd like to support us, check out our merch store, or join our Patreon for early access to episodes, exclusive content, and so much more.
Until next time, stay safe and hydrate for Lesbian Jesus.